All right, so I had a previous video about family structure, and that has to do with who exactly is living in the home with a child or children. And as much as we can discuss all the different definitions and types of family structure that are out there, we can do research on, like, hey, what's the difference between living with your mom and dad, or mom and dad, versus living with grandparents or having a step family? Or we can focus on something else. We can talk about family function. Family function does seem to be a critical element that we have to address in any kind of research on families. And this includes the way a family works to meet the needs of its members, all of its members. All right, so meeting the needs of its members. We do see from general research, we have indications that function is more important than structure, but it is harder to measure. I can definitely see, even from my own research, it's way easier to ask somebody, hey, who lives with you, than to try to determine the function of a family. And you will hear terms like functional family, dysfunctional family. You can probably anticipate there are a lot of ways you can determine and define that. It's complicated to determine family function. But when we give it a go, we do see an indication that function definitely seems to be critical when you're studying the influence or the effects of families. Now, since I am teaching the unit on middle childhood at the moment, in middle childhood, families serve important functions like helping the child by providing basic material necessities. The child still cannot go out and buy their own stuff. They need things from the family, so they get material necessities, having a bed, having clothing, having food, having shelter. Also, part of family functioning extends beyond that, doing things like encouraging cognitive development or encouraging learning. That is part of family functioning. Helping them develop self-respect, right? What do they think of themselves? What is their self-esteem? How is their self-concept? Do they see themselves as a good person? The family serves that function too. Nurturing friendships. Some families will make the mistake of trying to restrict friendships. That is a mistake. First of all, when you restrict and say you can't talk to that person, it makes it seem like that person is amazing. They're going to be obsessed with wanting to contact that person. But in addition, sometimes people don't. Sometimes parents, caregivers, guardians, sometimes they don't recognize how important friendships are during childhood, especially middle childhood. Friendships come to be valued especially highly, and it does seem to be an important part of development to develop friendships, to learn social skills and getting along with others. So you should nurture friendships. They should have friendships outside the family. And we'll talk more about that in future videos. And then fostering harmony and stability. Too much conflict, not a good thing. You don't have to completely approve of each other all the time. It's not like there will never be any arguments or anything like that, but you should try to keep conflict and chaos to a minimum. Have some sense of stability and security at home. Those are aspects of family function, and they seem to be important for development. I said that. Okay, so when we look at research, what we see is we see evidence supporting that, again, family function seems to be a stronger predictor than family structure of a lot of the developmental outcomes that we will address, that we will try to connect to families. We do see that children value safety and stability. All right, so if a child does not feel safe at home, that is way more predictive than if they live with step parents or if they have a single mom or something like that. Safety seems to be a really critical element, and stability. Predictability. Do they know what's coming next? Do they know when their next meal is? Do they know where they're going to be living if they're going to have to move suddenly? Do they know who's going to be living at the home at any given moment? You know, those are aspects that can be very upsetting if they are not stable or predictable for a child. We do have some special cases, like for military families. In military families, stability can be really difficult because you have to. It's part of the gig is you have to move a lot, and so a lot of children in military families, they will have sort of extra stressors from constantly having to relocate, making new friends and things. And so, you do have some special situations, where it's not like the families are not valuing stability. It's just that their particular situation makes it really difficult to have that one aspect, that one element. We also see that children can lack these because of less controllable, less predictable factors like natural disaster, losing your home in a fire, sudden unemployment, sudden poverty, sudden illness. I mean, there are more more situations that are less controlled by the parents that can lead to this lack of stability. And we see definitely that in those situations that you can see severe negative consequences, psychological suffering from children, from just not knowing what's next, not knowing where they're going to be staying, where they're going to be living, are they okay, are they safe? All right. This is a shortened version. There is a lot more that I could cover, but I do want you to know these basics. Definitely understand that family structure is interesting to measure, but family functioning really seems to be the more critical element for us to focus on.